One thing I forgot to mention last week that I wanted to, that was newsworthy at the time, the fact that, we have these blood and guts shows every year. This is the first one in July. The first one was in May. The second one was in June. So every year, these Dynamite shows, they call it like the biggest one of the year. Blood and Guts, Winter is Coming. They do Grand Slam, among other shows. There was talk last week from Fightful that Warner Brothers actually wants more AEW pay-per-views. Now, they did confirm All In's going to be on pay-per-view, and I don't think that's a knock on AEW for like, oh man, it should have been on Max, and it would be a lot cheaper if it was. Obviously, it would be. I don't think they could do it not because of an AEW issue, but because the Max service itself is not ready for live streaming. So it won't be ready by then. I don't know when it's going to be ready, if ready at all. I would assume that's the next step. I mean, the app has been around. HBO Max has been around for years now. I know I just transferred to Max, but it's been around for a long time. A lot of the live streaming services, like, I don't know if Netflix does it, but, Hulu does, and Peacock and stuff like that, have been doing live streaming since the start. So I don't know why it's taken this long, but that's a pay-per-view you have to buy, All In, and All Out, I assume, as well. They might do a combo thing. That would make more sense. Expecting people to pay $50 week after week is kind of weird. But anyway, though, I just want to get your thoughts on the idea that Warner Brothers might be investing in more monthly pay-per-views, kind of following the WWE model. And I think less is more. Less is more with the WWE stuff. We've kind of gotten less WWE pay-per-views. They would do sometimes 2 a month. They did this year with Backlash and Night of Champions, but they didn't have one in June. Monthly shows are fine. I mean, I'm just kind of curious what your take on it is. Are you a fan of it? Are you not a fan of it? Do you think it could help the product, or is it just too much?
I'm with you. I feel like less is more. I know WWE does it, and I wish they did less, honestly. Or just, use Raw and SmackDown to, I feel like I get it to a point, but I feel like they could also use Raw and SmackDown to prop the rating, and, that could help as well. Make it me more must-see if you did, I wouldn't know if I wouldn't change the name like AEW does, Winter's Coming and all that. I definitely wouldn't do that, but, use Raw to, showcase stuff instead of having a pay-per-view. It's nice. I think it could help the rating a little bit, and, I think it's better than just a pay-per-view every month, but I also, feel like with the string of WWE's been doing lately, I don't mind having the pay-per-views every month. I feel like they've all been pretty decent shows. So I guess it's kind of like a catch-2022 there. But, no, I think with AEW, I feel like the pay-per-views they have now, they're good. I wouldn't say I want more. But, if that's what the network wants, I could see it happening, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just, I agree. That's part of the problem, too, where with AEW, a show like this I really enjoyed. They make these specials. Not every single one is a barn burner. They kind of went overboard last year specifically, when they had way too many themed Dynamites that weren't overly special, like Beach Break, Fighter Fest, what the fuck is this shit? We're having these random specials month after month. I'm sorry, not even month after month, week after week. It'd be a week where you had a special edition of Dynamite, a regular week, and then back to a special edition of Dynamite. That didn't really mean anything, and it kind of hindered it. And they haven't really done that this year. I don't think they did Beach Break this year. I don't think they've done any special shows. I don't even, they had St. Patrick's Day Slam. I think they only did that on Rampage. I don't think they did that on Dynamite. They haven't had any special Dynamites, I think, this year for the most part. Maybe 1 or 2, including this one, Blood and Guts. But, yeah, I think having 4 or 5 shows a year is great because it's so different from what WWE does now, and they haven't done 4 or 5 shows a year since the 90s in 30 years. The problem with not doing it though, with what AEW does now, I think in theory it's great, but do you think this could improve the booking though, in the sense that there's a lot of the Dynamite specifically in the last year or so have not felt overly consequential. Now it does help the shows when you have the monthly special edition of Dynamite to build to those and put the big matches on there. But Dynamite has not felt overly important from week to week in a long time. Maybe monthly pay-per-views would change that, you think, and maybe get more people on the show as opposed to shoving everyone as possible into a 10-match, 4-hour pay-per-view card? Do you think that would help with that at all?
I feel like that's such a tough question. I feel like it's it could help or it could kill it. It's I feel like it's one of those. I feel like it could help, but they also I feel like Tony Khan's also doing so many other things that it could hinder it as well. It's a tough thing, I would say, to predict, because I feel like you would think, like you said, if you did it monthly, then you could flesh it out longer and get more people on the show instead of just stuffing everyone on the show. But then I said they also have so much programming as it is, like having another pay-per-view every month on top of Ring of Honor and all 20 shows they have. I don't know. That's a really good question, honestly. I feel like it would be worse, but it could help. It's one of those I would have to see it to then believe it, I guess, but I think it would hurt more.
Yeah, it's just weird. Yeah, it's just weird too because you have 4 or 5 shows a year as it is. Well, it's 5 because they have Forbidden Door and it's not a one-time thing. They did it this year, they did it last year. So let's say 5. Unless they up the amount of pay-per-views. But even with 4 or 5 shows, you would think, okay, this gives them more time to build stories. 2 issues that they've had with that in the last year, I would say. One being that some stories drag out for too fucking long. So you're having a feud that lasts 3 months, and it's just by the end, I just don't care. Because you're kind of waiting to get to the pay-per-view, but it's like, I mean, this has been done like for so long without a match, or it's just not interesting. Could you improve upon that while still also having 4 or 5 shows a year? Yes. But the second problem that AEW, Tony Khan runs into every time with the current pay-per-view model is that with Double or Nothing specifically, dude. I mean, that was one of the most forgettable shows they've had probably ever on pay-per-view. It wasn't a bad show, but it was very missable. But they announced most of the card the week before. Forbidden Door was the same thing. And they end up being great shows, but I'm like, I hate when WWE used to do it. They don't do it a lot anymore. You know, SummerSlam's in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. We know some of the matches. They still need to announce more, but we know a majority of the card. AEW doesn't know a majority of the card, and they announced 90% of the card. Ring of Honor didn't have any matches a week ago. I mean, it's the same issue they're having with Ring of Honor right now. I think monthly pay-per-views might be able to cut back on that. That might be one positive.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's definitely possible. I just would have to see it. But like you said, I feel like they also get in the thing. It's like everything's just last minute. Like, yeah, SummerSlam, not everything's announced, but we can see, like, the direction they're going.
Yeah.
And, like, we named 4 or 5 matches that they're building up, and, I mean, that's what we expect to happen. But I just feel like if you had more, would we get more of the frantic, like, last-minute booking, or would it be better? It's like you said, I feel like it's one of those things I would have to see it. I think I like it the way it is for them specifically now.
Yeah.
But I would have, like I said, I would have to definitely see it fleshed out. I think it could make it better. I don't know. I would have, like, it's like I've been repeating myself probably 20. I just would have to see it, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it might be the same thoughts. Like, it might just be different issues. Like, the positives might be better, but the negatives might be worse. So I'm not exactly sure. We probably won't find out anytime soon, though, because I would think they would only do this if they had monthly shows on Max. I can't imagine they're going to do monthly pay-per-views with people paying on Bleacher Report $50 or whatever the fuck it is. I can't imagine that. I mean, that would just be stupid. There's no way people are going... I mean, I know you're a UFC fan. I don't know how often they have UFC pay-per-views at this point. With wrestling fans specifically, to go from paying for 4 or 5 shows $50, you know, every couple of months, then monthly, it's the same thing with the WWE thing. Like, if they went off of Peacock, which seems inevitable, but if they leave Peacock and they go back to doing $50 pay-per-views monthly, I mean, I don't know. I might be finding different ways to watch these shows because that's just ridiculous. I don't think AEW should do that either, but if it was on Max for $10 a month, that might make it worthwhile.